Hi everybody, I'm Ruth Milner from the Photizo UK team, and I'm also a member of the UK chapter of the International Light Association. And I'm here today with Sarah Darling of Canine Gait Massage to give everyone a bit of an insight into how Sarah has been using Photizo for her own practice. And Photizo is a very modern light therapy, as in photobiomodulation device. So for members of the audience that don't know what Photizo is, it's just a very, very small handheld red and near infrared light photobiomodulation device. So I've spent a great 24 hours with Sarah here, and we just thought it'd be a great idea to have a conversation about how Sarah has integrated this type of light into her canine massage therapy practice. So just to introduce Sarah, so Sarah is a member of the Association of Mauritia Massage, well, Association of Mauritia Therapists. She's also a member of the International Association of Animal Therapists. She's a canine massage practitioner and founder of Canine Gait Massage Therapy. Sarah transferred 23 years of experience as a human sports remedial massage therapist to dedicating her life and passion in providing canine massage rehabilitation therapies for dogs, and works in the UK in the areas of Hereford, Shropshire and Powys. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Sounds exhausting.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for giving us your time today. And
thank you. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us to spend time with you. And yeah, we just really want to go through a lot of the probably typical questions that therapists and practitioners would have with integrating this kind of light into practice.
Yes.
Photobiomodulation is one of the most researched areas of photomedicine, but we've still got a lot of work to do with really trying to open people's minds up to the potential, not just for use on people, but what is probably not thought about is how profound it can be for our animals and our animal companions. So just to start off with, and I'll let you crack on because I know you can talk for a long time. So just run us through some of the the aspects of like, when did you first hear about Photizo, and what made you choose Photizo instead of maybe some of the other devices that practitioners have?
Yeah, it's cool. I actually I didn't really hear of Photizo until the very first lockdown, which I think is 2020, 19, was it 19, 20? I've forgotten now, it's been a long time. Yeah, so I was in lockdown. I was overstaying, but 3 months away when we were all shut down, staying with, caring for my mother at the time who was poorly. And I was actually helping a friend of mine, giving some recommendations to help her dog that was a little bit poorly. And she'd mentioned that she'd actually got a Photizo. And I was just, oh, and then she mentioned it was red light therapy. Yeah, so she introduced me to Anna Webb, amazing broadcaster, canine behaviorist, nutritionalist, and where she actually uses Photizo as well. And we were discussing a little bit about arthritis and the use of Photizo in that. And then it was then listening to, then I was really sort of getting interested in incorporating this into my practice, but I still had a little bit more to learn. I'd already been done a little bit of research into laser therapy, and even me, that at the time I actually got a little bit confused about the two. did get a little bit confused about the two. But then I heard an interview with the International Association of Animal Therapists with the amazing Sherry Scott, who is the founder. And she was discussing, it was just at that time when I was looking at making a decision of which way to go for this modality that I wanted to incorporate into my work. And then she was just talking about Photizo, and I just thought that's where I need to be. That's where I need to be. And that was almost probably about 7 or 8 months after initially hearing about it. So I called I called up the IAAT and just said, oh, I really need to learn more about this, and I really wanted to ensure that I was going to be doing it correctly and wanted some guidance on it. So I booked up a session and a teaching session with Sherry Scott herself, which was fantastic. And that then I heard more then about how highly recommended, more about the actual machine and how it's used in veterinary practices and by veterinary nurses and other animal professionals. So for me, that was the choice. Then also looking a little bit more about the difference. And once I'd handled the machine and felt the machine myself, and just and understood that whether you've got where you have laser therapy, which I know is used and successfully in cases, but where you've got the laser therapy and understanding some of the dogs that I work with, that it really played a much more prominent role and a fundamental role in the animals that I'm treating, that I felt that wouldn't with laser therapy. It's a little bit more, I would class in invasive, where you have to wear protective wear. But also with the Photizo, it's got a wider coverage. You've got the same healing wavelengths as laser therapy. You've got a much kinder delivery, and the dogs can be sort of in a much more relaxed environment by using this. Easy to handle, extremely portable. And I just knew it'd work really well with what I was looking for. And the more I learned then about the machine itself and the properties it had and how I could incorporate that, then I knew that was my to go. That was a long answer.
Yeah,
that,
yeah, it was, but yeah, it sums it up brilliantly. Is that, you know, maybe some of the reasons why, you know, as an integrative and portable device, because, you know, you do have to be carrying the stuff around with you, so it's absolutely, you know, it's rechargeable as well.
Yes.
So that's brilliant. And so just talk us through some examples of how you would incorporate using a device like the Photizo into your treatments.
Yeah, I found more and more often now that I'm actually incorporating the Photizo from the beginning of the treatments right through to the end, and it's really playing quite a prominent and fundamental role in all of my treatments. Not only one because it enhances and supports the body work that I'm providing, but also a complete treatment in its entirety on its own for some of the conditions that I'm working with. So it really works hand in hand. With a lot of the dogs that I treat, whether it is just a pretty like a healthy dog that maybe has got just overengorged hypertonic muscles, you know, really tight muscles, and or I'm dealing with dogs that have got chronic orthopedic conditions like arthritis, lumbosacral disease, spondylosis, or they're about to have surgery or had surgery. But then also I work with the rescue dogs, you know, and some of these dogs are extremely sensitive and maybe didn't start having any physical issues but ended up that way because obviously, you know, stress can equal pain can equal stress, and you just get this awful cycle, and it can bring about the most incredible sensitivities that it makes it hard to even approach them and touch them. And that was so incorporating it at the start. I found even with dogs that maybe aren't as sensitive, it can really help relax, reduce stress, reduce anxiety, bring a feeling of calm and overall well-being into a dog. And obviously, you know, you're looking at the power of red light and the infrared light, is that it actually helps stimulate the production of endorphins, which is like a natural pain reliever, you know, and the serotonin and dopamine, all these ones that make you sleep and feel relaxed and comfortable. And by doing that, I'm already helping getting them into a wonderful state to receive treatment. But at the same time, by actually incorporating that into areas along the dog's body or spine or wherever I'm doing that, I'm actually initially starting treatments anyway by actually relaxing. So the dog is relaxed, the muscles are relaxed. And I find that even just by implementation at that early stage, I'm actually getting releases out of a dog straight away. It's really been quite an incredible process for me to watch. So I incorporated at the start, as and where I can, that is appropriate for the animal that I'm providing therapy for at the time. And then I utilize it prior to an area that I'm about to treat. And we're not just looking at like a primary area. So I know, for instance, I've already done a physical muscular health check and gait analysis. So I know all about the dog. I felt areas of dysfunction, but then also you've got the potential areas, the compensatory areas. So I may have felt tension restriction. I could feel that maybe we're looking at, you know, trigger points, the spasms in a certain area. Maybe I'm dealing with an arthritic joint, but I know that the areas are there. So it's, for me, before I even go onto that area, I'm actually utilizing the machine directly over that point and then covering the whole surrounding area to encourage that blood, that, you know, because it goes to it penetrates a much deeper cellular level, so we can get deep into that area, get the blood flow. And also where there is restriction, where there is that dysfunction, also it's not only restricting blood flow but also lymph flow. So you've got these buildup of toxins within that area, and that toxin that constant buildup, and without that release, then it produces inflammation and pain within that muscle and joint. So it's really important. So for me to implement that in the areas prior to treating, so while you know, I may be stroking or covering an area with my hand, I'm then utilizing the Photizo in the whole of an area I'm about to treat, and then go on to that, and then I can utilize it on another. So I ensure that every area is covered. But I'm not just dealing with, you know, when they're looking at the compensations, and as we know as therapists and practitioners, that when you're dealing with an area of body, just even taking a shoulder into account, that moving a shoulder forward that's restricted, it's difficult to do that when you have tensions and restrictions going on with spine and back, because, you know, everything is multifunctional, everything, you know, it sort of crosses over, you know. And so, so to utilize that and bring that blood flow energy into the whole of the body, it just improves the quality of the treatment. And I find, and what I have found, that when I'm, and obviously if I'm dealing with a dog that is sensitive, and we all know that when you're dealing with trigger points and just tight, inflamed, chronically inflamed muscles, they're sore to touch. And it's wonderful when we have a dog that we can really get our hands into and move those soft tissues and mold them how we want. But when that's sore, it's hard, and I find that sometimes dogs, they don't want you to spend that amount of time. So if I can utilize this amazing piece of machinery to help me to ease that restriction quicker, to get that result, to encourage the dog to even relax further, and also trust me quicker. And that's a big strong element here, is that I get trust. When you release pain out of it, which is just amazing, you know, then you get that bonding and that trust, and it makes it easier for the next one, you know. But
in a way, it can speed things up if you're limited on time, for example.
Well, that's right. Well, that's right, exactly, because sometimes, you know, we know that, you know, that I've been in, it can take a long time sometimes for a dog to feel comfortable and relaxed, and you have a time limit, you know, you may be doing 3 or 4 that day, you know, and you may only have an hour or 45 minutes there, or the parent, you know, they've got to get out because they've got an appointment. So I found that I can literally, you know, I could treat an area and get that response, get that release at a much quicker rate by using the Photizo in that area, preparing the area first. So that is for, so easing restrictions, muscle tension, you know, trigger points, spasms, fascia restrictions. And then you've got areas, of course, where I'm not going to be able to put my hands straight away, which is straight after surgery. You know, obviously we're not going to touch the scar tissue then because it's still forming, you know, and it's not appropriate to do that. It might be sensitive and painful around the area, and this is where then the Photizo comes into its own, is that you can get straight on. You know, it's utilized immediately. And also you're looking at an arthritic joint, so I'll be working at the compensatory areas around to ease that discomfort. But when you have that inflammation, and of course, once again, the animal will be really guarded of that area and not want you to touch that area. Once again, there is the Photizo on its own. It's straight on the joint, straight around the joint, encouraging that blood flow, encouraging that cellular repair, you know, getting that energy into there. Because don't forget, these muscles are a muscle that has dysfunction, that is in a contractual state or scarred or just injured, is a sick muscle, and it's fatigued. And that's the thing. And when it's fatigued, then it will cross over on to another muscle and then another muscle, and it brings fatigue in the dog. So we want to bring energy into that, and what it does at that cellular level is bring energy into that cell for repair.
So it's just facilitating that self-healing of the body.
It's facilitating. And when you've got that, you know, it's allowing the cell to accept then the nutrients, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So when that cell is functioning, you know, it allows it to absorb the oxygen and the nutrients needed to help repair. So it's going to help with fatigue, it's going to help with energy, it's going to help ease inflammation, that's going to help ease the pain, and there it allows better acceptance and healing and speed of the treatment that you're giving. So it's really played a very prominent role, and has been, and is becoming even more so with the amount of the different cases that I'm treating every day, you know, which has been quite amazing. So incorporated at the beginning to relax, I incorporate it throughout to support and manage and assist, or on its own, but also I use it as partner of that, but also the rehabilitation process. So working with a case that we did a post on that was also in the Animal Therapy magazine, which was Daisy, who had intervertebral disc disease, and her surgery resulted, she was a grade 5 and resulted in paralysis, and Daisy wouldn't be able to walk ever again, lost the use completely. And we started,
that was the prognosis.
That was the prognosis. Yes, it was really, there was just nothing, bless her. But, you know, we thought, okay, we're just going to get in there. And it was important anyway for mobility. She got a lot of tensions there. I saw her 10 days straight after surgery. And we started with Photizo immediately, you know, and we gave some good doses. And at that time then I was giving, I recommended 2 a day. We were doing 1 in the morning, 1 at night. We did this every day for at least 2.
That was all the way down.
It was literally going from the scar, from incision, right the way. I'd already done it. I'd already utilized it around her neck and shoulders, because she got tension, and you've got a little girl here just scraping around on her forearms. That's a lot of tension to build up, and a new thing for her to do. And she's a little Shih Tzu. She's only tiny, you know. But she got absolutely, there was nothing, no muscle. Obviously you got complete muscle wastage because you got complete paralysis there. So yeah, so we started Photizo. They purchased a Photizo straight away because they could see obviously the benefits that we're talking about. So they actually had one pretty much straight away, so they could utilize this
between your visits.
Yes,
Daisy,
and so we're doing it twice a day, every day. We did that for 2 weeks, twice a day, every day for 2 weeks, and then we went on to once a day prior, then that carried on then for a good month, and then we went on to 3 to 4 times a week or as a men. But we just continued it through, utilizing that, because don't forget, when you're looking at Photizo, don't think of this, we all know as therapists, not just looking at muscle, it's the soft tissue structures. And when you're looking at a cellular level, everything's made of cells, so you're looking through the nerves. It's just, it gets down to that deeper level. So you have, you know, I'm not just rehabilitating a muscle, I'm rehabilitating nerve function, I am stimulating nerve function, you know. So at that cellular level, this is what I'm going to do, and everything helps here, you know. So we were doing that to incorporate that. And I have to say that with the manual therapies of just doing the range of movement and keeping this moving, the continuous usage of Photizo may help make the most remarkable results, where not only were her legs that carried no muscle now, but completely atrophied and so tiny, were actually starting to build muscle, and she was getting little bits of feeling down her legs. So after, was it 18 weeks, I think in total, she stood up. She actually stood up on her legs. So this is incredible.
Just for brief moments,
just only for brief. It was just for
there was still
10 seconds, 15 seconds, you know.
There was still some messages going on there.
There were messages that initially we thought that would never be able to get there again. So yes, so wherever that chain has broken, where the cells have been damaged, by just constantly, you know, concentrating on that cellular repair, giving it the energy and the oxygen and the nutrients it needs for that repair, feeding it energy, then that's vital in allowing these messages and that stimulation to get to,
so that
to
recommendation that you gave to Daisy's parents is somewhat more comprehensive than what we would be what the advice we'd be giving in, say, the user guide, with just the protocol of you know, it's 1 or maybe 1 to 3 doses. And the issue we have sometimes, even with practitioners, is taking that guidance too literally and thinking that, oh, you'll just do 1 31-second dose in one spot and that's all you need to do. But as Sarah said, you know, it's about thinking outside the box and actually understanding how the body works and how it all connects. And you know, it's no good with just thinking you can just do 1 dose in one spot and that's all you need to do. It's actually, you know, really utilizing it in all the areas that play a role in releasing something.
It is, and you really you have
using
to
it more comprehensively.
Well, that's it, and it is. And as a practitioner, you do have to think, because you have to look at the whole spectrum. And it's about, you know, I suppose learning, you know, going for a run. I haven't run before, and I'm a pretty fit person, so I will then start off a certain amount of steps per day, and I will get there quite quickly because I'm quite fit and I'm quite flexible. But if I've never run before and I've got pins in my leg and I've broken my knee and I've fractured my ankle, then that's not going to happen very quickly, because I've got traumatized areas, damaged areas, and that's not going to need more work. So for me, I would look at that. Okay, I've got a little bit of a muscle tension, I want to go on a run, so that would take a certain amount of help with the machine. But if I'm that traumatized, and that same person is going to need a different level to help them, it's going to need a bigger dosage to get that started, because it's severely traumatized. There's a lot of damage there and you've got to give it chance. It's like starting a new medication. Sometimes it can take 3 months to work. That's what I say. It takes time to build up, you know, to make it work effectively.
So there is a cumulative effect.
There's an accumulative.
The science shows that it's not a one size fits all, because in each case, you know, it's how the individual, how receptive the individual is to taking that on. So the more compromise, what has been shown, I think you mentioned this earlier, that the more compromised the situation is, you probably see how much better it works.
I can, and I've got a good an example of that, of a release of spasms and trigger points. And I mentioned that because this is really good, because only just very recently I was with one of my clients, and it's the first time I'd had a longer opportunity to spend, because it's quite a fidgeter. Can I say, in a present point of view, sort of jumping over my head, jumping at the back, but it takes a long time. So sometimes, and this is just, you know, this is just real life, isn't it? You know, I can get dogs that just relax straight into a treatment, and then you get others it just takes time, and it takes time because they're unsettled and they're pacey, because they're avoiding, they don't want to be touched because something's hurt for so long. Now that I've had situations, and this is where for me, this is all my personal experience, but I've been working with muscle dysfunction for many years, you know, but my personal experience of working with the Photizo is that I have physically, there's two different things of how different doses I'm talking now, is that I placed the Photizo on the back of a client's one of my dogs' neck, so just at the back, just above, just like at C7, just at the end, just at the bottom, just above the shoulder blades, and I placed it there. One dose, spasm went up. I hadn't even touched with my hands at that point. My hands was elsewhere on the dog, and I just placed it, one dose, and the spasm just went in the neck. So then on this other dog, when I got lots and lots of time to spend with him, I was with him probably for a good 40 minutes. Now, I was working with my hands was very difficult because he was guarded, because he was sore. Now we peel back layers and layers, and I utilize multiple doses around the neck. So it was literally coming down the neck, coming down the shoulders, because it was there, and I just, it was the first time I got a chance to really get close to this area. I wasn't about to mess this up because there was pain there, and I wasn't about to mess it up, so I spent time and just completely covered the whole of the forequarters, basically. It was just the whole lot. So when I was then able to, I'd done that, and then I started working then slowly with my hands over. This beautiful dog stood completely still, and one gentle touch over an area where I felt was restricted. I can only honestly say that what accounted to about 11 to 12 spasms let go, literally let go. When the spasms released, further down the line, then I could work then, because he was much more relaxed in my hands. I released a huge trigger point right between the shoulder blades, and I believe I wouldn't have got there, and that was quite a big moment. It's like I'd been waiting all this time for that, but it was just that it was getting rid of the spasms. It's peeling back the layers. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion to get through. Onion. It is just peeling back, you know, and we got there, and literally just moving. In fact, straight after the treatment, he went out, probably undid it all, but just went to zoomies around the garden. He was just like completely free. But you can see that I really needed that help, and I think my hands alone were not able to. Eventually, of course, we would have done it, but sometimes time can be a little essence, you know, because they're in a lot of discomfort, they're unsettled, and they're pacing, so you want to get in there. So to have that, to be able to utilize the Photizo and get that result